A rather shocking trade rumor started coming across Hoops Rumors and many other outlets, and of course all over the Twitterverse yesterday. And the trade rumor is in regards to NBA, because we are 6 days away.
So we are I don't know why I always give you the option to say a jersey number when I know you don't have one prepared.
We have one. We have Melo -1 days away until LaMarcus.
That doesn't count.
Yes, it does. It counts enough. That person's name is LaMarcus Aldridge, and I was generally shocked to see this. Now, according to ESPN's Zach Lowe, he predicted that Aldridge's name would surface in trade talks, particularly if the Spurs don't outperform expectations. However, the one that really shocked me about this is Jabari Young of the San Antonio Express News reporting that the Spurs are open to moving Aldridge in a trade should the right deal surface, and Jackie McMullen of ESPN saying that it looks like, or seems like from camp, that the LaMarcus Aldridge experiment isn't working out. And I don't necessarily know if I agree with this, because unless Greg Popovich, he's very good, by the way, we all know this, Popovich, at keeping whatever internal issues might be going on, we're not going to ever know about it. Yeah. But the fact that these rumors are surfacing from an organization that is so good at keeping the lid shut tight on any kind of rumors coming out of their camp, I find it shocking.
Well, it's way too early. Like, it's been one season, so imagine this was Kevin Durant at the end of next season. And everyone's like, all right, he's going to have to leave because it didn't work out.
For instance, if they start 2-2,
yeah,
we're going to get that.
We're going to get it undoubtedly, but whether or not it has any substance. So I agree with you. I think that from what I read further, it says that Young echoes the sentiment that he was signed to be their primary offensive weapon, but Kawhi Leonard assumed that role. I don't think that Kawhi Leonard was never going to assume that role. I think he was going to do it with or without LaMarcus Aldridge. I think LaMarcus Aldridge, he took some time to adjust to it, but look how dominant he was in the playoffs. He was putting up insane numbers for them, and I think Greg Popovich was trying to mature him along the way, because you come into a new system like the Spurs, it's probably one of the hardest systems if you're coming from a team like the Portland Trailblazers, where he was one of the sole figures, him and Damian Lillard were the two pedestals in that team. So when you come into a team that's mechanic, it maybe takes a little bit of an adjustment. And I don't think that you can judge it based on 1 year. I think it would be an asinine move to allow for one of the best players in the NBA to leave your team after merely 1 year as a case study. I don't see it happening. I understand some of the concerns, but let's put it in a perspective here. The San Antonio Spurs did not make it far enough in order for it to be considered a successful season, I don't think. They still had their best regular season in history.
They had one of the best regular seasons
in general, but it was just because the Golden State Warriors had such a remarkable general season that they kind of got put down the pedestal.
Yeah, I think you make some fantastic points. When he was unleashed, one of the things that if you were following towards the end of last season, Popovich did say it a couple times, it might have been press conference and not the rumblings were coming out, that Aldridge wasn't shooting enough. Yeah. That the Spurs wanted Aldridge to be a little bit more selfish, because he went from being a guy who is simply just fed the ball and the opportunities to score, especially inside the arc, when you have a guy like Damian Lillard in your team when he was playing on the Blazers. And he was very, very successful on the Blazers. And a major reason, we can always go back to that season 2 years ago, when Aldridge was just putting up back-to-back 40-point games in the playoffs. And if he stayed in Portland, God only knows how good that team would have been last season. However, when you have it looks like it sounded at the end of last season like he was confused as to what he was wanted to do, what was his role. And what I find so shocking about this is I thought it was going to take 2 or 3 years before we even saw the best out of LaMarcus Aldridge on the Spurs. Yeah. Like, once he became accustomed to that system, and they did bring in Pau Gasol, who is defensively innate. It's not going to really work out with him defensively on the floor, but offensively, he's very, very good, even at his older age. So the biggest question now becomes, if Aldridge gets traded, a lot of teams are going to sell the farm for him because the Spurs can pick up a lot of young pieces, draft picks, whatever they want for him. His contract isn't that absurd in comparison to everybody who signed this year. So you're looking at a relatively cheap all-star comparatively to the rest of the league, a big man who can score at will when given the right opportunities. Who makes that deal? Of course, everyone's going to say, well, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah. But they want Blake, they want LaMarcus, they want this, they want that. They have to replace Kevin Durant. I don't know. Like, to me, it would have been like, this would have been the move that the Celtics could have made if they didn't sign Horford. The Knicks already spent all their money. The Lakers become a really interesting option because they have enough pieces to trade. And off the top of my head, just so many teams are set for the beginning of the season that I have no idea, and I don't think anybody has any idea as to where it would be a viable location until 40 games into the season, where teams that aren't working out know they have to make a move to do something for the playoffs. So the biggest name that will now circulate from here to the trade deadline is Aldridge because he's an immediate impact player.
Now, Jason, we've seen reports in the past that LaMarcus Aldridge has been sensitive. He's got a pretty big ego, and it's expected coming from a team, I imagine, where you are the main man. You're the go-to. And if you're not getting the opportunity to kind of sustain that role coming into a squad that is team first, I think more than anything else, it may take a little bit of an adjustment, especially when you have a coach, which himself is a very powerful figure and someone that likes to install his mentality. But the one point I wanted to put out there before I finish in my thoughts on this to wrap it up is the current climate in the NBA, where you have an MVP going to an already all-star team. You have on the Eastern Conference a team that's so dominant that are going to come forward. There is no option of any team that has the ability to bring LaMarcus Aldridge in that is going to strengthen his possibility of success. He has to stay put. If he wants to succeed, there's no other team that he goes to that competes.
The Warriors. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the Cavs.
Anyone that has unless the Cavs want to completely blow out any sort of cap that they have, I don't know how they would even clear space. But when you think about it realistically, there's no other team that he has a better shot at success. He needs to, if it is an internal conflict, they need to sort it out, and he has to stay put.
Yeah. Again, I just found this to be like sensitivity, ego, all that stuff. You know, like you're in the best place to win. Mm-hmm. Or I should say one of the 3-4 best places to win. Like, you're not going to go to the Hawks and all of a sudden be, well, now I have a shot.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to the Magic and turn all these things around. So the thing is, if it's not working out here and it wasn't working out in Portland, it's not going to work out anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
This is going to be a problem we're going to see, I guess, going forward for the rest of Aldridge's career, which to some might say his career doesn't have much of a peak left. He's 31 years old, if I'm correct. He was older when he became a free agent. He had a later surge with the Blazers as he was getting better and better as he got older and older. So it's not like this guy's 25 and about to reign dominance over the NBA for the next 10 years. He's probably got a 2-3 year window.
And I don't think you have a better coach to kind of put your eggs in the basket with and say, all right, help me. Even at the age of 31.
Put your egos in the basket.
Yeah, put your egos in the basket and adjust it. And I actually quite fancy the Spurs to do really well this year. I think that,
I have them winning the Western Conference.
You have them winning
like the number one seed, not winning.
No, I don't mean the overall thing, but number one seed. Interesting. I think they've got a great shot. I think they can potentially capitalize on some growing pains at the Golden State Warriors. And I think that when you look at, they've lost Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's minutes were limited last year anyway.
He's coaching.
He's still going to be. He's going to be there just as much as an involvement as that father figure that probably doesn't say anything but just gives you a look.
What else is Tim Duncan going to do? I thought I saw Ja'Cory's hands, but that was just the microphone. It looks like a person. It is not a person. All right, Francis. LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be possibly on the move. Where to, though? Where will it work out? Will it always be a problem? Is his sensitivity an issue? At Francis_Maxwell, at JasonRubin91. All fun stuff in the description box below. We'll see you next time.